Well, that 15-second smackdown posted by President Joe Biden on his X page this morning. And it looks like we're going to get two debates between Biden and the presumptive Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump. The two men have agreed to one debate on June 27th and another on September 10th. So how high are the stakes for both men? And should we expect fireworks? Let's bring in the front bench. Saeed Salvam is the Vice President and Practice Lead of Public Affairs at National Public Relations. Former Alberta MLA and Cabinet Minister Gary Marr. He's President and CEO of the Canada West Foundation. Former interim NDP National Director Carl Belanger is here. He's now President of Traction Strategies and the Deputy Ottawa Bureau Chief for the Toronto Star, Stephanie Levitz. All right. Stephanie complained that I didn't have snacks prepared, Saeed. I'm really sorry. There's only so much in the budget of this show. But let's start with the stakes of these debates. How important are they for each of the candidates?
They're quite important, especially given the fact that Trump and Biden are very close in recent polling. You know, when it came to the 2020 debates between the two, a lot of sparks flew, and Biden essentially did quite well, and Trump seemed a little bit unhinged, especially from a lot of the media accounts and a lot of feedback that he received, and he tried to sort of clean that up in his subsequent debates. I think that when it comes to debates, though, especially now, even though the stakes are high for both, there is a wind of change right now. There's a lot of people in the U.S. who want change, especially given the high cost of living. And when there's a high cost of living issue, a big economic issue in the country, the people of that country essentially want change. And in recent polls, people are leaning towards Trump as being that change maker. Essentially, the Republican Party being seen as a change party is not typical, but in this case, it might be. So the stakes are high. There's a lot that can happen, especially between now and then, but the debates will be quite telling.
Gary, beyond the policies that may be debated there, what do each of these candidates have to show voters in both of those debates?
Well, look, I mean, for President Biden to put out the piece that you led off with saying, go ahead, make my day. I mean, this is sounding more and more like pro wrestling taunting than it does like politics as we come to understand it. And I'd say, you know, for Mr. Biden, he needs to demonstrate that he's strong, that he's vibrant, that he's, you know, not the octogenarian that he is sort of conveyed as by many people in the media. And, you know, that he hasn't been a diminished character over the last 4 years, you know, of being president of the United States. Now, I'm not sure that these debates are even going to go forward. I mean, look, both campaign teams are going to meet. They're going to establish the terms upon which the debate will happen. You know, they'll come to terms perhaps, but ultimately, they're not going to follow the rules as agreed to. This is going to be a slugfest if it goes ahead. And it's, you know, understanding that, like, you know, debate should be about policy, about character, about historical significance. I'm not sure that a modern day political debate is about any of that. Each side will have key messages that they'll want to carve out and say, and then shoot out on social media and say, this is what our candidate said. He said this and this and this and this. And with Mr. Trump, it'll largely be, you know, 3-word, 4-word chants that he will put out there, again, being more like pro wrestling than about professional politics.
Yeah, Steph, I wanted to pick up on the age issue that Gary was just mentioning, both of them over the age of 75. Recently, they've been starting to show their age. How much of this is going to be a barometer for voters as well to see how the two men do?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, you're going to take two guys that have had their share of verbal stumbles in the last, you know, little while, and questions about why did he just say that thing, and what tangent did he just go off on, and why does that, you know, what does that mean even? And in a debate format, those moments can be really, really salient, right? They can stick in the minds of voters. One little slip of the tongue, and I mean, that's not just a clip that grows viral. It becomes like an ad campaign. Oh, look, this guy's not capable for the presidency. And I think the other risk there for both of these men, but I think in particular has to do with former President Trump, and his willingness, shall we say, to play fast and loose with the truth.
Right.
And to be in an environment where, putting basically the onus either on the moderator or President Biden to fact check him in real time, it is dangerous, perhaps, letting these two guys go, knowing that Mr. Trump will have license to basically say whatever he wants. And that can be really dangerous, having those thoughts and ideas aired in real time when they can't be checked against the truth.
Carl, is that one of the biggest challenges there, or are they both going to be fighting to show that they're fit for the job?
Well, there's going to be a bit of that, but because they're in the same age, it's not as much as a factor if there was a contrast to be established there. So what's also interesting is that in a debate like this, attacking a record is much easier than defending a record. But in this case, they both have a record. So you'll have that comparison game at play. And I think in that sense, President Biden is not as much as a disadvantage as President Trump was last time around when he had to defend a record. This time around, they both have a record. They'll compare it. They'll throw facts out there, they'll throw numbers out there, and we'll see who comes on top. But the margin is so narrow that, any little thing could shift the electorate one way or the other. And if there's two debates, it may create a trend that will not be reversible with other occasions.
Yeah, and Saeed, I don't think that we're going to see either of them play it safe, certainly not former President Donald Trump. But how much do you think that factors into it, that they won't want to sort of slip up on the debate stage to give the other campaign that kind of a gift?
If you look at the 2020 debates, there wasn't too much consideration for slip-ups. I mean, there was a lot of slip-ups. There was a lot of attacking the moderator. The moderator was also trying to get control of the debate. So there was a lot of back and forth. It was oftentimes described as chaotic. I think it's very possible that you could see that again with some of the upcoming debates between the two candidates. But look, Trump is in a position where he is benefiting from not being a current incumbent. And that's important, especially given the way that the economy is right now. So technically, he doesn't have to show up to these debates, and he could still have votes or public support in his favor. I'm honestly surprised that he has agreed to show up to the debates, because it puts him in a very difficult position, but at the same time, he's probably banking on the fact that, hey, people want change. I'm the candidate of change in this current election, so vote for me, and we'll see what happens. But basically, he'll likely go after Biden's current record, and that could be a vulnerability for the current president.
Gary, I got
Mike,
about 30
I just wanted
seconds.
to say this one piece. Mike,
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to say this one piece. It struck me as being a bit humorous when Carl said you have to defend your record. Of course, a record may be a record of public policy. It may also be a different kind of record, and frankly, the debates may not matter depending on the outcome of Mr. Trump's trials coming up. We'll have a decision made, and it being close, that kind of record may make the difference between who wins and who loses.